Hello, everyone. I'm back. So I've gone a year. It feels the same. And yes, I got a haircut. Yes, I did.
And
Stop sharing my face again. Okay. Hey, Mike.
hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. A new face.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I was like, God, this was a funny saga. I think a saga. Yeah, we call that my vacation time, my time off. I was out for a week, and I was back in the office for 1 week. I was supposed to go back out for two, but as it turns out, with daycare, we got confused with the weeks that they were actually off. So we ended up. I ended up working for 2 weeks and then going off for another two. But I haven't live streamed since before that. That's that's what 5 weeks.
Oh,
Yeah.
you need to
And
get back into it.
one wise, very wise person told me, and I've been sharing this gospel over and over again to everyone, is he said, Jesse, you should never go back into the office a day following a day off. So yeah, exactly. Like if you do the math, you just don't come back. Once you're gone,
Yeah,
you just stay gone.
yeah, it's a good advice, I think.
Yeah, I think it's the best. Yeah.
Nice.
So since my absence, there's been a lot of things that have changed, and well, changed. There's a lot of new features in Botpress.
Mm.
Um, and today we'll be going over those so much. We're going to be developer focused, and we're going to start building an integration from scratch. We released a while ago the developer, well, the hub, the Botpress hub, with the Botpress provided integrations. So the channels, ultimately all the channels that are currently there, as well as like linear, Zapier, the webhook as well. Um, the command line, the client, or the SDK. There's been a bit of documentation. There's been a lot of exchanges in the developer channel on Discord. Lots of requests for content videos to be produced. And well, I have Mike here with me today. We're gonna build an integration. Mike. Well, I brought you in because you're super important here at Botpress. Why is that?
Well, I've helped develop and architect the way how Botpress works with how the integrations interact with the bots. So I'm really familiar with how it works internally, and also I can provide insight into how the best practices are with those tools we published. So this is why I'm here today.
And Mike, from the time that we've known each other, I've known you to be very modest. Um, so, I mean, he can help. I mean, he designed it, right? So, uh, we'll we got the best person on the call today for that. It might take a few sessions for us to build out the entire integration because we're going to cover like creating an integration using the command line, using the template to get started with it, and really building from scratch, um, from nothing, from empty folders. As you were telling me earlier, there you have a good plan for us. We're going to create a channel and we're going to create actions. We're going to eventually create events. So we'll be able to use action cards in the studio with this integration. We'll eventually be able to also put some triggers on some events and have the bot react based off of what's happening in that third-party system. Um,
Yeah, for sure. And maybe at some point this integration will go into the hub and we'll release it for everyone.
That's right. That's right. Because this what right. So when we're building our integrations, they don't necessarily need to be public. We can create
Mhm.
private integrations. So we'll see how to deploy it on our own workspace, our private workspace, and we'll also see how to go make that contribution in the public repository, the Botpress public repository, get that approved, and then make that integration we've built available to everyone. So last time I actually like wrote a lot of code was quite a while ago. So it'll may be too slow for some people. You may get like so frustrated at the simplicity of me like being like, oh, what's this again? Uh, Michael, explain it. We'll make this available on YouTube as well, so you'll be able to refer back to the video
Mhm.
for those interesting parts. Uh, Okay. So we can we can oh, okay, yeah, before we continue, I just want everybody to be a little more familiar with you, Mike. Um, you like spicy chips?
Yes, I do.
You like
Spicy
spice in
is my
general?
jam.
So at Botpress, no, every week on Friday we have our company wide stand up where we just share the progress that we're making in the advancements and just do like a checkpoint of how everything's going. And we like mixing or spicing things up a bit, pun intended. I like to get to know our colleagues, and just Mike comes in with like this hottest chip in the world, yeah, potato chips or corn chips. I don't know, individually packaged chips. One chip individually packaged like a bag with one chip. I so what is this? Was it purple? It was a funny
Blue.
color, and
Yeah, yeah. It was
yeah,
a little challenge I did. And yeah, it was a little bit spicy. Yeah.
Uh, a little bit. He couldn't speak anymore. He was choking. There was no water around. He turned so pale. We had to end our weekly meeting just so we could get him to chug like this big glass of milk and bring him to the hospital in case something wrong was going to happen with his digestive system. Anyway, the following week, Mike came back stronger than ever, right? What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but everyone was absolutely worried for his health. He took it like a champ. No one else dared try that chip. At least I don't think. Maybe a lick or like just a little nibble. What was that chip? Where did you
I think
find
it's
that?
called
If
one chip challenge, I think, or something like that.
that's actually a thing like online, and you can order that chip and you do a TikTok with it.
Yeah, and there's a new chip every year, and the new one just got released some weeks ago.
So we can expect you to test that one in front of us. Maybe we could like record it and share this on the Botpress like site.
Yeah.
So can you handle the spice? Okay. All right. Okay, let's get into it. Been talking for 10 minutes now about a bunch of random things. So everybody got to know you intimately, Mike. Now we'll go into building this integration. Which integration do you have for us? Like I didn't have any particular ideas. You had a few that coming in the pipeline that you wanted to build out. Which one do you have for us today?
Yeah, sure. I thought about one system that is popular and that we could use, and it's called ClickUp. It's a software, a project management system. So basically, you can create tasks, manage sprints, and everything. And it's a pretty popular system, so building the integration should go smoothly. I looked everything, and everything was in order to create an integration. There are all the features were there.
Okay, so click up. So project management makes me think of, if I draw some parallels, Jira, Asana,
Mhm.
Linear, Trello, Monday, with like a bunch of more features. And you said you looked at the system and you checked if the requirements were met. Uh,
Yeah.
what does that mean more concretely? Like, are there some limitations? Are there things? What are the specific things we're looking for when we want to build an integration to be able to build an integration um, with a third party?
Yeah, basically how our system work. The easiest way to build an integration, it's not the only way, but the easiest way, what you're looking for, is something called a webhook. So ClickUp needs to be able to send us event. or notification when something happens in their system. And if they have this feature in place, they can send any notification to our system, and then we can react to it. And they also need to have an API. Those are the really simple requirements for us to build an integration.
Is a webhook absolutely necessary? Because I thought this sounds to me like a bidirectional, where they have to send systems on. Because I'm thinking of, let's say Google Sheets. Google Sheets, I can have an action and just like push a row in it, but will it ever need to send anything back to me?
Well, there are some features that requires a webhook. If you want to have actions and do, for example, like you said in Google Sheet, you want to add a row in Google Sheet. You can do that without a webhook, but for example, in Google Sheet, you can have comments, and when someone add a new comment, you want to be notified. So you need a
Right.
webhook. You need a way to get this
Okay.
event in Botpress.
Understood. Okay, so soon as we want to be, we're soon, okay, so soon, if we want to send messages, if we want to send content to another system, we don't really care for response back or the system sending any events that we want to act on. The webhook isn't necessary, but in most cases, we'll want to use it to really benefit from all the capabilities there.
Yes.
Okay, so ClickUp. ClickUp, we're looked for, does it have an API? Does it have a webhook? We have that.
Mhm.
And we find that really looking at the system and the developer documentation. We look for like developer tools, API, webhook, and usually we'll find that in the documentation.
Yes.
Okay, great. Now that we're a little more familiar with the requirements and the tool, ClickUp, where do we get started?
Well, something we could show is a small diagram to explain the complete interaction between ClickUp, our system, the integration, the bot, and everything. So it will be a lot easier to understand with visual.
Okay, so that's that diagram you just sent me this morning.
Yes.
So I imagine, okay, so I'll share that, put that up, share my screen.
Mhm.
In C, users, Jesse downloads diagrams. Let's see, on Windows. I'm on Windows. Sometimes, is it, we can develop on Windows, right? As much as Mac or our
Yeah,
integrations.
we can develop them on any system. I used to work on Windows, and now I'm on Mac, so I available on everything.
Oh, I'm gonna start a big war now on operating systems. Are you a Mac? Are you a Windows? And then all the other people are gonna be like, yeah, but you forgot like Kubuntu, Unix. Can we develop on Unix-based
Yes,
systems?
any of them.
Okay.
Everything
Share
is
your screen.
in TypeScript, so it works everywhere.
Okay. Da-da-da-da-da. Ah,
Yes, nice.
voila. This is the one?
Yes, this is the one.
Let's see.
Uh,
I have to ask the audience here. Okay, we have Kubuntu, Windows. Someone is puking on Windows. Ah, hey, I mean, you can play Diablo 4 on Windows. I'm not sure you can play Diablo 4 on a Mac. Um, Minecraft, Redstone computer. Okay. Windows was never the same after Vista. I lost so much data on my USB keys with Vista. I gotta say, yeah, that kind of, yeah, okay, got a point. M1 Mac. As my daily driver because I despise the Mac. Is it true the new chips like use really a lot less power on the laptops? Like my laptops are rated like 18 hours and it only lasts two. That much more efficient?
yes, they are. I have an M1, and the difference is day and night.
They okay.
Mhm.
All right, okay, let's get into it. This diagram's up. There's a bunch of people ignoring this talk and trying to figure out what this is. I'll let you talk us through it.
Yes. So everything is um, really simplified to make it easier to understand the interaction between all the pieces. So first we have ClickUp, the external system that can send us events. Like I said, the event is sent through a webhook. So the first step is the webhook. Then we receive in our API this information, and we figure out which bot it belongs to. And when we know that, we add a little bit metadata to the webhook and send all of that data to the integration. The integration receives this data and understand the interaction that happened in ClickUp, and it can create events or create messages in our API. Then the API choose to send back all the messages and events to the bot through triggers. And then the bot, which is the bot you built in your studio, will receive those events, those messages, and respond back to the API. Then the API take your response, send it to the integration, and the integration then sends the message to ClickUp. So we have a big loop that does all the interaction you need to build your bot.
Okay, so the webhook, the ClickUp through the webhook is sending to Botpress. Botpress itself, there, the infrastructure does its magic, adds a little more information on the webhook to, well, we'll see some of that metadata that you're talking about later while we're building the integration. And so what we're building here is this integration and interacting with the Botpress API using the SDK.
Mm-hmm.
We could use the API, but the SDK is there. It makes it a lot easier, and it has all those typings. I imagine you were talking about
Yeah.
TypeScript earlier. So that simplifies that. So the two
Mm-hmm.
pieces that we develop is our bot and the integration, and we're always communicating with the Botpress API here. Okay, that's
Yes.
interesting. Are there any questions? Where does the integration live?
Yeah, they live in a what we call a sandbox. Oh, I think we lost one of the speaker. The API lives in what we call the sandbox. It's a serverless runtime to execute the TypeScript code. Oh, we just got back our speaker.
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm using up all my system resources here. Because that's probably because I'm running on Windows, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Toss that around casually. That's okay. Might have to shut down a few things. What do I have going here? Close this little window here. Okay. For some reason, close this. Bye-bye. I imagine I don't need Docker, huh? No. Bye-bye. Okay. There we go. Close a few things. All right, so you answered the question about where are hosted where does
Yes.
it live? Lambda? Yes, okay. When is the best to create integrations? When is it best to create an integration instead of using webhooks and triggers? It's an interesting question. I like that question
Good
because
question.
it's true. We do have this. Yeah, it could cause confusion. Confusion. We do
Mhm.
have a webhook integration in Botpress that we can enable, and we need this webhook in our external system. Does that webhook have anything to do with it, or is it
Uh,
something different? So yeah.
It's completely different. The webhook integration is basically a really simple integration that allows you to send data to your bot and use this data in your workflows. This is a really simplified way to interact with system that we haven't built an integration yet. Because the integration, what an integration do is it um, simplified interaction between Botpress and the system. So the best way to use or create an integration is only to simplify the interaction with it. You could still use only the webhook, but if you want to make your life easier, you just use uh, an already built integration or build one. It's going to be a lot easier to use.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So we
That seems to
can,
cover it for the diagram.
hmm so we
Yep.
can
Go
get
ahead.
into it and start coding.
I'm nervous here.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm rusty. So we can start coding. That means I share my VS Code.
Yes. Sure.
I'll switch around. I'll change my window. Uh, Go live. Okay. This is the home of many developers. Visual Studio Code. Okay, so we assumed a few things here before we start developing, as the people may want to follow along as we build this because we're really building it from scratch. Um, what did you have me do this morning, Mike?
Yes.
It
Well,
was we expect. Go ahead.
the first thing will make sure that you have all the tools necessary to build an integration. So you need basically two things. Well, three. The first one is Node. So do you have Node installed? So you can do node dash dash version in your terminal and see if you have Node.
Oh,
No space between version and the dashes. Yes. Yeah, perfect.
yeah.
And we also need to make sure that Node is on version 18. You have the right version for this. The
Okay.
next tool isn't necessary, but we use PNPM internally. You can use npm, it will work, but we use PNPM, so you can do the same thing with PNPM version, and we'll see.
If it's the same thing, I mean, well, this is about Botpress and building Botpress integrations there, but and I imagine this is also on the Botpress documentation on the developer section, getting started. Which command? What are the requirements of Node version? And I think I saw there's npm yarn and pnpm always shared there as an example. Why would we prefer using pnpm over the other two
Uh,
package
in
managers?
our testing, we saw that PNPM was faster and it was easier to use it, so we decided on this tool, but any of them is great and you can use them. The reason why I chose in this demo to use PNPM is because if we want to contribute this integration to Botpress, well, we need PNPM because Botpress uses PNPM.
Oh, oh, okay. Now this is important. So if ever we want to, okay, so when we want to make our integration public and share it on the hub, it all has to be done with PNPM.
Yes. So
Ah,
you'll do
okay.
a pull request in the Botpress repository with your integration, and it needs to use PNPM.
Okay, so if I were to, yeah, build with npm and I would make a, what's it called?
Pull
A
request?
PR pull
Yeah.
request. Thank you on the repo, Mike. You would have to come and politely ask me to switch everything over to PNPM.
Yes. But
Okay.
it's really two lines and it's done easily. Switching isn't hard. So if you build your integration with NPM, switching is takes 2 minutes. So it's pretty fine.
Okay, great. I remember watching some YouTube videos, and the speakers had this file created, and they just like take the notes as everything was going, so we'd see the list throughout. Would people in the audience want me to do that as we go? Like, readme that call it readme.md for fun. Okay, so first step was node version has to be equal to 8, has to be greater than 18. Okay. Second point was PNPM
Yeah.
needs to be installed.
And version 8, if possible.
Version over 8 if possible. I'm going to put an asterisk here, required for public
Yeah.
integrations. Botpress hub. Okay, cool. All right.
Right. The next step is to initialize a new integration. So we'll create the folder for the integration using the CLI, and then from the template, we'll just um, explain a little bit and create from scratch instead of using a template to explain every single step manually. But most people will use the template, uh, but we'll go from scratch. So I'll show how to use the template first. So you need to, in your command line, write pnpm space dlx at botpress slash CLI.
Slash the other way.
Oh, perfect. Perfect way. And then init. And then you can press enter. What this does is instead of installing the CLI of Botpress on your machine, you can just use this pnpm DLX to just execute the CLI directly. And what we want to do is an integration. So you can choose integration in your CLI.
Oh, I'll have an action there. All right. Integration. Okay. Name of my integration. Oh, and I went ahead and create a folder called ClickUp integration.
Um,
Okay.
you can name it demo integration. We won't be using the files. I just wanted to show the template and how it works.
Okay. We have someone in the chat says, I'm pretty sure it works with Node 16 and up.
Oh,
Is it
yeah, maybe.
possible? Frank. Oh, this is our Frank, is it?
Yes, it is.
This flower. Hey. Hey, 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 hey. Okay, okay. Excuse me. Greater equal to 16. There. Okay, there's no strike through in this, huh? Okay, I'll do that. And I'll put this up. What was it? Integration. I'm supposed to choose, give it a name, demo integration, enter.
Yes. So now you have a new folder called demo integration. You
Yes,
can
yes,
open
yes.
it, and this is all the files that we're going to create to build the integration.
Anyone in particular you'd like me to zoom in on that needs explaining?
No, not really. We'll do it from scratch, so you don't have to
Okay.
show any of them. We'll
Okay,
create a
okay.
new folder beside it.
Oh, all
So
right. So this is
now,
boilerplate. It's like
yeah,
running what is it, npm run npx or something like React. It creates your whole package folder. Oh, okay, all right, got it.
yeah. So the result of this folder is basically what we're going to do right now. Just create a folder, an empty folder, create all the files we need manually, and add all the packages. So
Okay.
the first thing we'll do is create a new folder beside it called ClickUp integration.
I'm going to use the interface instead of the command line. I'm sure a bunch of you are already like mkdir in the terminal. New folder. Click up. Dash integration.
Yep.
Is that what you said? Yeah. Okay. So I have ClickUp integration. ClickUp
Mhm.
integration. Awesome.
Good. So the first thing you can do is inside of your terminal, just go into this folder. So cd ClickUp integration. And then inside this folder, we'll create an empty package.json. So you can do pnpm init, which will create this file. So now you have, well, a node project that you've initialized. After that,
Right.
you can add the packages that we'll need to build the integration. So
Yes.
there are four packages that are required for the integration to run, which are, so to install them, just do pnpm install, and we can separate all the packages with spaces. So the first one is the Botpress SDK. So add Botpress / SDK. The next one is the client. So add Botpress / client. And then we use a tool called Zod for most of our types. So we can install Zod. And for this particular integration, you'll need Axios too. Yes, so you can press enter and it will install all of those packages. Great. So now you have all the dependencies that you need. You also need dev dependencies that won't be used when running the integration, but you need them to develop the integration. So there are 4 other packages. To install dev packages, you can do pnpm install -d in uppercase. Yes, so all of those packages are at botpress /CLI, TypeScript, at types/node, and ts-node. Perfect.
Those, if I remember correctly, are the dependencies that don't find themselves packaged in the kind of executable at the end. But not...
Exactly.
Oh no, it's gonna disappear. Get it quick, got it.
Nice. So now you have all of the packages required to build your integration. So the next step is defining what you want to do in your integration. So we have a specific file for this, and it's a convention. The file it needs to be called integration.definition.ts at the root of your integration. So you can create this file.
Integration dot
Definition.
definition dot ts.
Yes, exactly.
Did I type definition right? There's so many I's in there back to back. Okay. Oh, I'll see who's paying attention here. Okay, I got caught. All right.
Nice. So when building the integration, you need to define all of the types and channels and messages that your integration can send and receive. This is what this file is for. So you can import the integration definition from the Botpress SDK.
From the SDK.
Yes. So you can
Slash SDK. Yeah, you're gonna have to help me here.
open an object right here. And inside of it, you can type integration definition with capitalized letter at the beginning also.
Oh, it's a class.
Yes, exactly. And then after that, from at Botpress /SDK. Between as a string when you import. So
that's right. Oh, now there we go. All right.
And to create the definition, you just need to do export default new integration definition. Perfect. And then open parentheses and inside the constructor, you have an object you can pass to the constructor. So right here, yes, open the object. And now you have a lot of properties you can set. All of those are the properties that will be sent to Botpress when deploying the integration. So if you do control space, you have all of those that you can define. Two of them are required. The first one is the name. So our integration will be called ClickUp.
Oh, equal click up two dots.
Uh,
Why am I all?
that's I don't know why it. Yeah, yeah. This name
Okay.
is unique to all Botpress. We'll explain why in the future in a little bit, but just to know that only one person can have the name ClickUp at a time.
Okay.
The
Is
now
is the name, if it's a private versus a public integration, do public and private integrations names need to be unique with each
yes,
other also?
it needs
Okay.
to be unique. Yeah. In the yeah, it needs to be unique. Now you need to also add the version of the integration. Uh, we only allow two versions for now. You can use 0.2.0, which is the public referencing integration. Uh, you can set it between as a string.
Oh, of course, the dots. Oh, and it's even they're even there.
Yeah,
Okay.
those are the two available. If you're doing a private integration, it will require you to define 0.0.1. It's a restriction we have for now. When we release a versioning of the integration, we'll allow multiple versions of the same integration.
Okay. And I see my red squigglies just disappeared because I'm meeting the minimum requirement of having the name of the version.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
The rest is optional.
exactly.
All right.
So the rest is
Yay.
all optional. Um,
Okay.
Now, what we can do is go inside ClickUp and figure out what feature we want in this integration.
Okay.
So I don't know if you have uh, ClickUp ClickUp account or anything, but yeah, we can set up everything we need in ClickUp and look
Okay.
a little bit into it.
You sent me an invitation to click up to a workspace earlier today, so I'm just gonna open that up here. Oh, back.
Yes, perfect. So what I thought would be a good idea is to create an integration that allows you to control the comments inside a task. So if you click on the test task right here, on the right here, oh, you have comments that you can have. Comments are kind of a channel where you can have conversations. So Botpress is built to manage conversations. So what we'll do is to replace you with a bot that responds in your place in the comments of a task. So this is what we're going to do in ClickUp. Um, so in your definition, you need to tell Botpress that you have a channel called comment where you can have conversation and that you can send text messages in this channel. So if we go back
Okay.
in VS Code, in your definition, right here, you can add the channels property.
Yes.
And this property uh, is an object, and the keys of this object is the name of the channel. So what we want to do is to add a channel name comment. So the key of the um,
Oh,
object is the name. Yes, exactly like this. And then inside the value, it's another object. And this object defines multiple properties of this channel. So the first thing you need to do is define the messages that can be sent in this channel. So we can add messages. For now, we'll only define one type of messages called text. So right here, you can add text. The the value of this message will be an object also. And in this object, you have the schema property. So if you do control, yeah, exactly. And now we'll use the package I talked about a little bit earlier called Zod. So you
so
can import at the top of your file the um, Z from Zod, which is the default way people use Zod. So in the schema, what you're doing is you're telling Botpress what payload need to be sent to send a message or receive a message of type text. So what we'll do is define z.object. And in this object, we'll have a property called text. So you can open parentheses, create an object,
nope.
um, just open an object and add a new key called text. This will tell Botpress, well, that it's an object with a text property. Now we need to define the type of the text. So it's string, so z.string. Z.string, yes. And just open parentheses. Perfect. So this means that we have a channel named comment, and it's possible in this channel to send a text message. Really simple, and everything is set up for this to work. Something else we need to do to manage everything uh, is to add tags to those uh, messages. Because the concept of tags in Botpress is a way to bind the system externally to Botpress. They are key values that are made to add data to our objects. So, for example, in ClickUp, all the messages, all the comments, I mean, have an ID. And we want to save this ID when we send a message and when we receive a message. So on our message, we want to have this ID because we can then fetch back, we can then know this messages is related to which in their system. So what we'll do is inside the comment object, we'll add a tag for the messages. So we have a key called message here. And inside of this, we have tags that can define tags. And the key here will be called ID. And inside the object, it's not a schema. It's only
Ah,
it's still an object, but you have two available properties: title and description. You can describe them. This is to make the life of the users easier when using uh, Botpress. So we can title can be message ID and description message ID from ClickUp.
And I don't see myself remembering all these nested objects going all the way down. I imagine this is documented on
Mhm.
the developer Botpress developer portal, and we can look at all the other examples. Well, we can use the existing open sourced integrations as examples to look at how to do this structure. Also, does the demo integration also offer this kind of integration definition default file with like a boilerplate
Yes,
template
exactly.
example?
You can just look into this file here, and you'll
Okay.
have default messages that are the ones available in the studio. So when you implement all of the default messages, then the studio can send those into the integration and from the integration.
Default messages.
Button, carousel,
Yeah.
all of those messages, text file, those are all of those definitions.
Okay. All right. Got it. Got it. Okay. Cool.
Yes.
All right. So comment is our channel type messages.
Mhm.
We want to handle text messages. Okay. And we got our ID. All right. Okay.
So in Botpress, we have three main concepts to manage conversations. The first one is messages, like we saw. And then we have a conversation where all the messages are sent to. So we need to do the same thing we did with the tags for the conversation. In our case, the conversation is happening inside a task in ClickUp. So we need to create a tag called task ID. So if you um, add beside message a new key called conversation,
Oh,
you'll be
okay.
able to do the same thing and add a tag for the uh, task ID. So
And
right
the task
here,
ID is a
yes,
task
task
ID.
ID. Perfect. Yes,
Okay.
good. And the last concept is user. So in ClickUp, you have different users. So we need to bind which users sent which messages. So users are a little bit different from messages and conversation. They are not specific to a channel. They are global to the integration. So this key isn't inside the channel itself. It's at the root of the definition.
It's the root of the definition. So okay, so it's right
Right
there
here.
with
Yeah.
oh no, it's right here.
I think, yeah, you add it.
Okay, that's I need a linter. Ah,
Yeah. A
said
little
no, you
bit
said user.
higher.
If I oh one up one.
Up one, yeah.
Wow.
Um,
Okay. Well, I messed this up seriously. Oof. So at
on
the same
last,
level as channel. That's it.
exactly. So right here, just creating exactly. Yes.
Okay, there we see it. Aha. Maybe if I bring this down a bit, we could see a little more. There we go. Okay.
Mhm.
So
Right.
user, and I can directly set
Hmm.
tags here. That's what we're referring to. Okay.
Yes.
Guillermo has a question. Doesn't the title have to look like Telegram colon ID? Um, what will be the tag name?
Uh-huh. Something uh, related to tags is that when your bot receives a message, the tags on the message or any of those objects, message, conversation, and users, the tags that are coming from the integration are prefixed with the integration name. So in our case, when we'll be using the tags, it's going to be called ClickUp, ClickUp, uh, and then ID. like Jeremy sh- told, like he
Example,
showed
yeah,
us.
okay.
Yeah,
So
exactly, like his
so
example.
click up colon, yeah, ID or
Hmm.
task
But
ID.
when you define them, you don't have to use this semantic.
Okay. All right. So this is when
Yeah.
we're doing a search. We have to specify it. Okay.
So
Got it.
inside the
So
user,
user tags. Yeah.
and then we'll do the same thing. A user in ClickUp as an ID, so we'll have add the ID here for the user.
Just ID or user ID.
Just ID, yeah.
Does this the name of this object, is it specific? Is it the same name as the property we're receiving from ClickUp when we get the message from the webhook, or we just define it as we want to define it here and we set it from the object later?
We
We just
define
give it
it
any
as
name.
we want
Okay.
because this field is has a lot of restriction. You can't have underscores, you can't have spaces. Um, so all of those restrictions are made to make our life easier when generating code, which we'll do in a moment.
Okay.
Yes, perfect. So now we have most of what we need to do the next step, which is implement this definition. Uh,
Yes.
to implement it, we'll create a new file. So most of the integration requires multiple files. So we'll create a folder called source, src. And in this folder, we'll create a file called index.ts, which will be in the entry point of the integration. Perfect. Now, to have all the types we defined, we need to generate some code. The Botpress CLI allows you to generate a lot of things. So in the command line, we'll do the same thing we did earlier to initialize the template, pnpn dlx, add Botpress CLI, and we'll do build to generate the all the code.
So to run this command, we require the integrations definition TS
Yeah,
to already been written. Okay. Generated code. Yes,
yes,
Gordy.
perfect. So as you can see, there's a new folder called .botpress.
Yes.
This folder is all of the generated code to give you um, an easier time to implement the integration you just defined. Um, right now, our setup is missing one key feature, the TypeScript config. This file is really complicated and usually you will never have to write it yourself. So what we'll do, we'll copy it from the template. So you can go in the demo integration, copy the tsconfig file, and add it to your project. Yes, perfect. We don't really need to talk about this file since it's only a configuration file for TypeScript. We have good defaults here. It should work with this file without you having to touch it at all.
Okay. And these files that were generated, that it's generated code, I imagine we're never going to go put our hands in there. We're not going to touch anything.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
and if I maybe getting ahead of myself, if ever we make a change to this definition, because I'm thinking like today we're going to build a channel, maybe tomorrow we're going to go and then create some actions. I imagine we'll have to define the actions somewhere in here.
Mhm.
We'll have to regenerate this. Does that happen automatically?
Yes, well,
Or
we
maybe
have
I'm
a
like
feature.
completely far off. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we have a feature in the CLI that does all that automatically. It watches all the file, and if you change anything, it restart the integration, it regenerates the files. So everything is done without you having to run a command every time and everything, and it connects to the API directly and everything.
Oh,
But yeah,
okay.
it's a little bit in the future. We'll see it when testing the integration.
All right, great, great. Because for sure I'm gonna have done probably a bunch of typos, and
Mhm.
you'll probably even slip a few in voluntarily. I won't even see it. Okay. All right, back to it. So we have all this generated code. We
Yeah.
have the index, which is the entry point. We ran this, uh,
So,
and we copied over the tsconfig
mhm.
manual work for now. That's
Yeah.
being worked on. Okay.
And inside the index.ts, you want to implement what you just defined. To do that, you'll import the file you just generated. So you can do import, open an object from Botpress, from .botpress. So, yes. And inside the object you opened, you can do control space to see what's available. So as you can see here, we have an integration. This integration has been pre-formatted to ensure that you implement all of the feature you defined. So you can use that, and we'll do the same thing we did in the integration definition. So export default, new integration. Perfect. So inside this, you can do control space. You'll see all of the features. Since we didn't define any actions, you can just uh, put an empty object in the action field.
Okay, so it's still required. We
Yeah.
just on a non or unimplemented, not implemented. Okay.
Mhm.
Mike, I see we've got 1% of this integration done, and we're at 99% of our time of our hour for today. Um, okay, we can we can like stop this here, or we can maybe finish the definition of this index file, the create this integration object, and then next week we can start implementing each
Yeah,
definition that we put here. Yeah.
I think it's a good idea.
Okay. All right. Um,
Then
so
you can use the register key here. Register is the function that is called each time you enable an integration. This function is when you install the integration in your bot and you enable the integration, this function will be called each time. So
So,
if you
like when we by enable integration, excuse me, Mike, just so I'm sure, it's if I look at an existing module we have, say I want to enable linear, so I'm in my bot, my workspace, I go to the hub, I choose my integration, let's say linear, it's there. Later we'll see ClickUp, I click on it, it's installed on my bot in my workspace, the specific bot that I chose.
Mhm.
But when I click on the enable slider, that's when this runs.
Yes, enable and save. And yes, this runs
And
in.
save. Okay, so if ever I change the configuration and hit save, it's going to run the register again. Okay, got it.
Um, we'll we won't implement anything, so you can just create an empty function, um, async, open parentheses, uh, arrow function after the parentheses. So equal, yes, an empty object. This will just have an empty function and we won't do anything. And we can do the same thing with unregister. So there's another key called unregister. This is called when you delete your integration. So if you're in a bot and you remove the integration from your bot, this will be called.
When we when we delete it or when we disable it.
When we delete it.
Okay. Don't know if that's important, but it feels important to me.
Mhm.
I'll write it down. We're still red, so we have to keep going with the.
Yes. Next is the handler.
All right.
Handler is the function called when you receive a webhook.
Oh, so a lot of magic is going to be happening
Mhm.
here in our next
Yes.
session. Okay. Oh, process. Well, yeah, when the webhook receives an event, I'll call it like that. There, a message.
Mhm.
Oh, you call it a message, huh?
Event message, we have both. And the last thing we need is channels. We need to implement the channels we defined. And
Channels.
yes, inside this channel, we defined a comment. So if you opened uh, an object here, you'll have the comment key that is required here. So control space, you'll see comment.
Okay, that's our integration definitions and code that's getting us that key there. Okay.
Inside comment, we can open an object also, and then we'll have messages with an S. Yes, perfect. And here we define text, so you'll have text. Uh, so if you open an object, inside the object you will have the
Yeah.
property text. And this one is a function, so you can do the same thing you did with the other ones. This will be called when the integration receive a message that needs to be sent to ClickUp. So it's to send a message outgoing from Botpress.
So it's like our bot sending a message
Mhm.
back to. Okay.
Exactly. Perfect. So we have all the setup we need to implement everything.
We'll receive. We'll receive. Let's say Mike goes and puts a comment on a task. The handler here will receive the comment, and it'll be processed by the bot. We'll go down the actions, and if ever the bot finds a send message card, it'll go through here.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. All right. Okay, so it's still a little theoretical for me, but once we start implementing it and have it in Botpress, there it'll start making a lot more sense. Okay, Mike, wow, thank you. So so this took a lot of time, right? But we're just
Mhm.
really just setting up definitions here. I imagine it goes like fairly quickly when you know about the external system that you're integrating. You understand the integration bot and Botpress architecture communication, that data flow diagram we saw earlier. We set up our definitions and we quickly get to out of the boilerplate code, I guess, into writing and implementing our integration.
Yes, I
Okay.
think
And
we wanted to have a good foundation to explain all the concepts from the ground up to go from there and then implement the integration. Because what we did right here is what you have when you use a template. So this is exactly what you get from the template.
all right, okay. So if I go back here, I keep forgetting about the template.
Mhm.
We have a source and an index TS file. Oh, look at that. Okay, and I'm
Yeah.
putting my little comments here, and you guys have been already way ahead of me and super thorough on that. Okay, so not implemented. We see those there, register and register action channels, and
Mhm.
all the default messages that are implemented by Botpress that you were mentioning earlier are there as well. Row not implemented here. Okay. Sweet. All right. So okay, we're doing all this stuff really just to get a good understanding of it. Like I won't have to do this ever again.
Mhm. Exactly.
That's great. Okay, I have a little question here. How many sessions are you guys planning on doing for this integration? Well, I don't know for sure at least two because we haven't finished building it. I imagine we're going to pick up the pace a bit as we're going to be explaining less of the SDK and the structure of the integration and building out the functionality of the integration and into ClickUp. So for sure, at least two. But what we're going to do is we're going to finish the integration with these sessions. So by finish the integration, I mean, we'll get that channel up. We'll have a few actions. We're probably going to want to like create a task, maybe delete a task. So we'll have an action. We'll see how to create an action in here with the definition, and we'll be able to go use that action within the studio. So we'll have a bot that's actually having a conversation in the comments section of a task, and be able to have a user create a task. We'll also have Mike, you were telling me an event, at least one event, one kind of event that we're going to use to use the triggers on within the studio. So we'll tie that all that up together. Um, so at least three, maybe four, maybe five. Um, yeah. To finish your question, the reason why I asked is there's so many users dying for some sort of booking function or payment function. So yeah, hopefully with this integration, we'll give you the tools for you to be able to build on the integration that you'd like. I know we have some integrations that are like being built out. You can look into the hub. There's already some PRs there. Um, or some other integrations. So the one that we're building may not be specifically the ones that you're looking for, or that you need to use. But the idea is really to equip you to be able to build that integration and not wait after us to finally build the one that you need. All right. Um, Stop stream here. Here we go. Close up on our faces. What are you having for lunch, Mike?
A sandwich. A really good sandwich.
Sandwich.
Yeah.
It's got spicy chips in there. Are you the kind of guy that puts chips in his sandwich? No?
No,
Okay.
I don't. I learned my lesson.
I just have to go and make it weird after the call. All
Mhm.
right. I hope everybody enjoyed this session. We're going to be seeing you next week at the same time. Well, my time it's 11. I'm not sure what time it is for you everywhere in the world. But we'll start at the same time we started today, next Thursday. We'll continue the implementation of the ClickUp channel. 11 EDT. That's right. Thank you, Sabrina. I should have put the time zone in there. Um, have a great evening, everyone. Have a great end of day or beginning of day and a great weekend. See you next week.